What is up, everybody? It's Rev time. 'Tis I, Qui-Gon. I gotta do something with my hair. At least it's out of my eyes. I want to talk about Edge of Breakup, which is where my state of being is right now. No, I'm kidding. Edge of Breakup, as far as, at least from my perspective, when guitar players talk about, here's my edge of breakup tone, I guess it is kind of to each his or her own. In my case, what you're hearing right now is what I would consider a clean to edge of breakup tone. And I'm using my my D20 as I always do. That's direct via the dynamic out via the two-note software. I always use that straight into the old television set, or in this case, it's my interface, my Apogee Quartet. I always use the same 4x12 cab that comes stock with that amplifier in position 1. So that's what you're hearing. As far as reverb and delay, you're hearing my Timeline and my Big Sky. That's what's going on as far as delay and reverb goes. And I am using my tilt, just the boost side right now, to just kind of wake up the clean tone, because I like a little bit more chimey top, but I like to dial the amp specifically for other pedals. So in this case, I'm using my tilt for this type of clean tone. And if I, hit it harder like I just did with a humbucker, it'll break up a little bit more. But yeah, that's what I'm using the tilt for. I can shut that off. Actually, still sounds great, but if I wanted to cut through more, the tilt is making it, a little bit more glassy, maybe just a little bit more push, not much. So the reason I like amps to be edge of breakup is honestly based on how let's put it this way. I feel like, in my own humble opinion, that any overdrive distortion pedal especially is going to sound better into an amp that's breaking up slightly or clipping, whatever you want to call it. It just seems to sound better and feel better. Now, when I do demo videos on my channel in particular, I try to dial the amp as clean as possible. But even then, I'll have somebody push back and say, well, that's edge of breakup. And it's like, for me, it's like, no, that's not edge of breakup. That's crazy clean. But that, I guess, therein lies, a bit of perspective. As far as I'm concerned, this is pretty clean, but if I really hit it, it'll break up a bit more. And then, we can get into all kinds of, well, what happens? Because as I really hit it, guess what you're hearing more of? You're hearing that delay. So there's always going to be that perspective, and maybe that's for a future video, of how especially reverbs and delays are going to respond to the front end of an amp that's already breaking up. In this case, it's not too much. If the amp was dialed to break up way more than that, I would probably start routing verbs and delays through the effects loop. But in this case, I think it's okay. So just for perspective, I keep saying that word, but just for perspective, I'm going to just turn on the drive side now. So we'll go from this clean edge of breakup. Now I'll turn on the drive side of my tilt. Now, if I were to just reach over and let's make it so it's cleaner. Okay, that's much cleaner. Now my tilt's going to have to do more work, and I can certainly turn up the volume and the gain and compensate for that. But that's the whole point, is I prefer to have it sound more like it did in this range. It's dynamic and ampy. And then if I want to, you know, stack things with that, or, you know, I could turn the boost back on. I can turn the boost back on and hit that, or I can, you know, now I can start turning on other pedals on my pedal board. So if I want to leave the tilt on, maybe hit it with my light speed for some more push. So the delays are coming out a little bit more than, you know, I would, or I shouldn't say a little bit more than I would like, but they're more present, but it's controllable. If I started running more gain than that with the amp, like I said, then I'd have to start thinking about, well, maybe I should run that stuff to the effects loop. So if I was using, you can't see it, but if I was like using my 120 and I was using channel 3, I would run that stuff to the back end, because we get totally out of control on channel 3 to run that stuff to the front end. But the whole point of this is really, you know, edge of breakup in my case isn't a lot of breakup. It's more, I'm dialing it so that the amp will be responsive. If I dig in, it'll push past that range dynamically of being really clean, but it won't necessarily start really overdriving. That's my edge of breakup. And I run it that way because I know that any pedal, it doesn't matter if it's my tilt, light speed, king of tone, a clon, pick your favorite, you know, blues breaker style pedal. It doesn't matter what it is. It will almost always, or in my case, I'm going to go out on a limb and say not almost, it will always sound better into an amp that just has, yeah, a little bit more breakup. Okay, cool. So let me know how you guys run your amps, especially if you're running reverbs and delays to the front of the amp, you know, using it as a pedal platform, which is what I'm doing here. Let me know. Do you guys run it like dead clean, or do you go more the route I'm going where it's slightly broken up? I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on this. And as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Ring the bell, all that stuff just helps us keep doing what we're doing.